What's up? What's up? What's up, you guys? It's your boy Chris Lee TV back again with another podcast episode. Today I have
Jaron Ferrer.
so Jaron is the operations director at Carolina Tarps on the East Coast, and I met Jaron through Twitter. Like I meet everybody else, everybody's on Twitter. I think that's one of the easiest things to do is just speak to actual people who are kind of behind the accounts. You have that accessibility on Twitter. So we spoke on Twitter. We had some interesting conversations, mainly about tarps. And I, wanted to bring him on to kind of discuss those things as far as the startup costs with new companies. I know that you guys know I'm in the flatbed. I was in the flatbed industry, so tarps and chains binders were a big thing as far as like load securement and things like that. So um, Jaron, you want to give them a kind of background of what you guys do over there at Carolina Tarps?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, thank you so much, man, for having me. This is such an awesome project. And honestly, I first heard about you through YouTube because you got so much content up um, geared at helping people get started or just definitely manage their finances better, but just also the day to day and the challenges. And you know, the one of the most interesting things about serving this industry has been seeing the online presence of uh, all the truck drivers, because
Sure.
everywhere from company drivers to owner operators to entrepreneurs to people who've been doing it for 50 years to
Yep.
1 week. And so honestly, it's encouraging to see how much stuff is out there. I would definitely anyone getting started or just looking to get better would benefit greatly from looking at your content, but also just looking around and just seeing how other people are doing it. So that's how I came across you a long time ago. Is looking for insight from truckers on the road, because our background is in technology, and so we started Carolina Tarps with a website, and we didn't know anything about trucking. We didn't know anything about tarps, but we knew about internet marketing, and so we were just trying to be found on Google. And then if someone, we actually started with dump truck tarps, and so if someone was looking for dump truck tarps, we would make sure that our stuff would show up. And this was 10 years ago, so it was not nearly as difficult on terms of internet advertising for the cost and the competition to be found pretty easily. And so now, since then, a lot of other companies have gotten on board with it's pretty it's pretty low barrier to entry at this point to advertise online. It still takes management and research, and that's sort of what my job has become is managing that online advertising and making sure that we show up when someone's looking for tarps. And probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we recognized that flatbed tarps was a huge industry,
Yeah.
and so we added that, and we since then have started warehousing. Whereas before, we used to just have a little office, and we would fire off an email to a manufacturer to make a tarp, ship it out to the customer. Now we're storing stuff ourselves here in Piedmont, South Carolina, and then when someone orders it, we ship it out, often in within that hour. It's on the truck, and
Mhm.
that's as a result from by having physical operations. We've got truckers coming in, and we get to learn all about their life. Because again, I'm not a trucker. I'm serving that industry, but honestly, I'm sort of from the outside. So I really appreciate, again, your content kind of helping shed some light on the inside aspect of that world. Because then, if if I can help you out more, then obviously it helps my family more. It's a
Right.
nice reciprocal, symbiotic relationship, because you got work to do. You're not buying a tarp for fun, and then I'm trying to feed my family and enjoy the work that I do. So it's been a good couple years here. Again, my family started it, and at that time I was finishing high school and going through college, and so at this point I'm more involved in the daily operations, and it's been a learning process for sure. Which also on your entrepreneurial
Mhm.
stuff and time management and how to motivate yourself and all that. I've found a lot of that quite helpful for myself too, just because I don't have anyone
Yeah,
around
yeah.
telling me what to do. So if I want to advance, it's a lot of times it has to come from myself. So thanks for everything you do, and thanks again for having me on here.
Yeah, for sure. That is awesome. I'm glad that you guys, actually started. I think it's so cool what you said about starting with just the website. Like anybody can make a website. Anybody can, you can learn how to code or just click and drop and put some text in a box and have a contact box, and that's how easy it is to really get something going online as far as you putting some marketing behind it and just having a plan and knowing your audience. That kind of hit with me because I've been doing that for a while, just putting up a website and actually driving traffic to it and seeing like it grow. I think that's one of the awesome, like most awesome things on the internet. Like if you're on the internet and you stay consistent on the internet, then the internet will, you'll get results. Um, and like I said, that just really hit with me because I just really relate to that. So you guys get a lot of like you said, truckers come up to the warehouse. So as far as like with new drivers, new like hot shots or new flatbed drivers coming into the industry, like what does it look like for them? Like as far as like what kind of materials do they have? Like, do you guys have a package for like these new people getting into the industry? Because I have a friend. I told you, I think it was a day or two ago. I had a friend who was looking to get in flatbed, and he has no clue kind of like what he needs. So I have like a list of things like chains, binder straps, and like things like that. But it depends on what you're hauling. But as far as that goes, like what does that look like for you guys when someone comes up and they're new and they're trying to get into the flatbed industry? They watched YouTube, they kind of know what they need and kind of how to use it. But do you guys um like what does that look like for you when they're coming to ask you?
Yeah. Well, it is. It we get such a spectrum of people. We've had the
Mhm.
presidents of companies show up. This is our door right here. Um, they show up. A lot of times it's owner operators or company drivers or just someone running down to pick something up. A
Yep.
lot of times it's drivers who are driving from, you know, West Coast, Washington down to Florida to pick something up,
Mhm.
and they search. They basically what the situation that happens a lot is um, they just drop something off in maybe Charleston or Spartanburg or Columbia or Charlotte, and then they're looking to get back somewhere, and they do a search on the load boards and see a job, but it requires tarps, so
Mhm.
they'll type in tarps near me or flatbed tarps, and we come up, thankfully, and so a lot of times they'll just show up or they'll give us a call, which our operation, we're not a store. I mean, you can see kind of what we're working
Mhm.
with here. Our big thing is shipping, uh,
Right.
because if we were limited to who could drive in, I mean, it would be a very small mom and pop operation for sure. So we're shipping all over the country, far more than we're dealing with. We're right off of 85 between Charlotte and Atlanta, so that is convenient. But if that we're shipping out way more than we're handing out the door. So in terms of startup stuff, there's definitely a lot of people who walk in and they just started flatbedding, and I love it. I love it so much because small business is in our DNA.
Yeah.
My dad left a pretty, I mean, he was sort of wheeling and dealing in the tech and finance realm. I don't know if he would phrase it like that, but he had a great opportunity, and they were basically in a situation where they were paying people to leave, and so they didn't have to lay people off.
Right.
And he took the package, and then they they were like, "We didn't mean you. You stay here and help us continue to scale our, uh, financial programming stuff." But he always had a dream to start his own thing,
Mhm.
and so he started doing some like e-commerce. He got into the e-commerce realm.
Yep.
And then that slowly trickled into we're making or we have now have a tarp store, which is just
Yeah.
such a weird story. Um, but through that, we've met so many small businesses and we've met so many people who are tired and frustrated. So we really are not in the market to waste anyone's time. We know people are pressed for time, they're pressed for money, and so we just try to deliver what they need, which we have a long way to go. There's lots of stuff that we don't have in
Hmm.
terms of equipment. That's an opportunity for us. Both, I mean, we could be selling that, but also I can't stand telling someone no that we don't have that. So, but stuff is coming in. So when people come in, they'll say, just getting started. I give them a high five and a hug often, say, good job. That's awesome. You're
Yeah.
crazy. But I believe in you. And then we kind of go over the options, which like the most basic standard tarp is the 24 by 27, 8-foot drop. Two of those covers 53-foot trailer, which a lot of the startups don't usually have a 53-foot. Like if it's a hot shot, what I've picked up, and again, I'm not a trucker. This is just what I'm hearing back. An 8-foot drop is kind of overkill for the hot shot trailer because most often they're not doing 8-foot tall loads. But
Mhm.
just for anyone new listening how that works, 8-foot drop, the language there is talking about the height. So it assumes the width of every load is 8 foot. So if you say an 8-foot drop tarp, that is 8 foot down the side, 8 foot across, and an 8 foot back down the other side. So that gives you your 24-foot width, and then 27 feet long. Again, two of those covers 53 foot with some overlap because it's not common that your load literally is
The exact
set
length.
up from the very nose to the very very back. So that's
Yeah.
usually sufficient. So that's like the cheapest way to say yes to every load ever is 2 8-foot drops. Those things are like 120 pounds. So they could be pretty demoralizing if you just got into it and now um, you're trying to lug this thing around. It's so much work. I really have so much respect for people getting into that industry because it is not a sedentary job by any
Not at
means.
all.
Well, I guess it kind of depends on the where
Yeah.
you fall in the spectrum. Because some people have a pretty sweet gig where they don't even get out, and I think
Right.
that's the goal eventually. Because when people get out, the risk of getting hurt goes up. But it's really interesting listening to meeting people and listening to their tips for safety. Um, just because they're saying you got to get out, but you got to be smart in how you do it. And I think with anything, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. Because if more infrastructure has gone into the job to make sure the driver's not getting out of the truck, that means the whole operation is costing more, honestly. And
Yeah.
so less of that's going to go to the trucker. So it kind of depends. If you want to keep your back in working order for longer and hang out in the truck, then I think there's a way to um, figure that out. But with anything, when you first get started, you will do whatever someone will pay you money to do.
Yep.
So it sort of behooves you to be in a position to say yes to anything. So like I said, the 2 8-foot drops set you up for everything. And there's variations. The standard material is 18-ounce vinyl, PVC is what they call it. And there's a, let me see if I can find here. We have a little sample here for the viewers. This is just a very basic sample. And so it's got a base fabric. Um, this is actually a lightweight version.
Looks pretty durable.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll get to that. So yeah, it's got a base mesh fabric, and then that's coated with a PVC, just black PVC, and that's pretty much the industry standard. It's old, it's heavy. The problems come with when it gets cold and when it rains.
Mhm.
That's what I hear is that it's already starts at 120 pounds and then it gets rained on and it freezes. You get dirt. It can get 150, 160. You can't even manage it. So there are other options. And so someone working in a colder climate, I would probably do the investment to get something lighter. And so the options for getting lighter, you can break it up into 3 pieces, which takes away a little bit of weight. So instead of 27 feet, you could do 3 tarps that are 20 feet each.
Gotcha.
So 60 feet end to end, but with overlapping, it'll work out perfect. People with shorter trailers could do like a 24 wide and like a 20 long. We have like end pieces that you can, it's kind of like a puzzle.
Yeah.
So it really, like you said, it depends on what you're going to be hauling. But that's kind of our specialty is people walk in, they kind of explain what they got going on. So a big thing is the length of the trailer. If you're not over, if it's a 36-foot trailer, I don't, I wouldn't get to 27 foot because you're going to be fighting with fabric. And
Yeah.
when you're
Yep.
just getting started up, even if you have excitement and energy, I mean, you can twist your back or just, it's
That
just
tarp, yeah, that
human,
tarp will take you
frustrating.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you, I mean, did you do a lot of tarping when you were
Oh
on the move?
yeah. A lot is an understatement. I've done tarping, I've tarped sand bags, I've tarped charcoal, I've tarped bricks, I've tarped lumber. So one of the craziest stories I had was falling off of the load with the tarp in hand because it was super windy out in Houston. So the tarp became a parachute. I'm just hanging off the side of the trailer, like and sliding down, um,
Wow.
hold onto the tarp. And like you said, with the like elements, the cold, the rain, but also people I think don't think about the fact that if you're somewhere in Houston or Texas, that tarp is going to attract that heat and keep it so you're rolling your tarp up and it might be 90 degrees or more on that tarp. So definitely wearing gloves and it's like you have to get out. You have to roll that tarp up. No one's doing it for you. Majority
Yeah.
of the time. I've had people help with rolling up tarp, but rolling up tarp, you have to get out that truck. You have to get it done. There are, what I'm saying, situations where you're on your knees rolling up the tarp and you're bending over. You have to pick it up and put it on the trailer. Sometimes you have forklifts there to help you, but it is a strain. I'm out of the truck now because of my back, not because of picking up tarps, but those back issues do occur when you're not doing the task correctly.
Yeah. So in terms of uh, where to get started, kind of before that is the question: should they even be messing with tarps? Because
Oh yeah.
in that whole world of flatbed uh, opportunities, uh, I'm learning more and more every day. I mean, there's just so like different industries. Because you got people hauling machinery like tanks and construction equipment, but then you also just have product or raw materials, wood, steel coils, I-beams, and all of those have different needs for how to protect them. So I'd be interested in your thoughts on someone getting started. They don't know if they're going to be hauling I-beams or sheet steel or 8-foot crates of peat moss or insulation or whatever. Would my guess is you would not recommend buy everything, make a $60,000 investment in every tarp size and every
Yeah.
ratchet binder and everything. In your experience, what is the least uh, that someone could invest in and be able to say yes to the most opportunities?
Right. So, with where I've kind of got my equipment from, I'm not sure if it was discounted or anything like that.
You got
So
it from Carolina Tarps, you remember,
right
the
on.
only tarp company in
Yeah.
existence.
Um, so I spent about 2,500 for like the startup kind of flatbed materials, right? I lost my brand new tarps. I lost some brand new tarps, like and they like one tarp fell off my truck, so I had to buy like a whole new set. So two of those 8-foot drops probably cost me about 600, 650. But all together with the chains, binders, 4-inch straps, 2-inch straps, uh things for the coils as far as the rubber mats, metal and plastic edge protectors, uh, tarp bungees, pipe stakes, the
Yes.
breaker bar, the lumber. You got lumber tarp, two lumber tarps and one metal tarp. So it's the smaller, like you said, the 20. What is it, 24 foot, and then you have the beveled lumber for coils, and you also have the um dunnage to build your headboard for your flatbed trailer. So I'd say, look to spend around 3 grand,
Oh,
to get
wow.
started in with the 53 foot at least. If you're gonna just be prepared for it, like bare minimum anything. That's going as far as lumber. That's going as far as like rebar, steel. You have your chains also. What is it? The 70. Uh, I think we
Yeah, the
used the
G70.
516 G70, rated at 4,700 pounds, working load limit. And then, like I said, the 4-inch straps are at 5,400 pounds working load limit. That was a basic, what is it? Like 12 straps at the 4-inch, and then I'd say about the same as far as like the chains, like 12 chains. Um, yeah, about 9 to 12 chains just to make sure you're covering like 50,000 pounds, right? At minimum. And
Okay.
then you can also throw on straps to, add more uh what you call it.
We've That's interesting. You said 3,000 because yeah, I was going to say even if I couldn't necessarily give a list of everything you need to get started,
Hmm.
there's you can at least generalize it to say how much. And um, as with everything, unfortunately, it kind of comes down to it depends on what you want to spend. Where I think we have done well is because we ship so much and we ship so fast. It's kind of tricky because when people need chains, they kind of need them now. They're trying to pick up a load. So
Hmm.
with everything, preparation saves you a ton of money. So if you had just the bare minimum of tarps, which depending on the length of trailer, it's good to have two tarps, and it's up to them if they want to have 8 foot drop or 6 foot drop or 4 foot drop. Um, but depending on what they need, and if they're going to do tarping, the minimum, the absolute minimum is a tarp, obviously, and bungees. And then on top of that, it kind of depends on what opportunities come your way. If you're able to plan in advance, or if you're working with a broker or a company that is kind of looking a little further down, further ahead, if you yourself are doing it, or if you're working with someone and you're looking down the road, and or you've seen opportunities for coils, but you don't have any chains, or uh, um, or like tall stuff and you don't have 8 foot drops. If you're seeing those opportunities come up and you're missing them, then you can order some tarps, and that does make the price go up. And for reference, right now at least February 17th of 23, our standard 8 foot drop, 18-ounce vinyl, 24 by 27 lumber tarp with a flap is $299. And so to ship that, and $50, $60.
Hmm.
So for a set of them, you're looking at 700 plus a box of bungees, which is I think 50 U.S. made bungees. Very nice. 750. So maybe for 800 ish to your door. That's two tarps and bungees to get started. Everything else, and the other thing is we ship it out today. Like it's currently 152. We can get stuff out for the next probably 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that means someone who didn't make an initial investment of $3,000, but made an initial investment of $800, but now they need moving blankets or straps, um, or just stuff that they didn't plan for. If they're set up to, if they can wait 2, 3, 4, 5 days, then they can get it. And that is so preparation and the magic of online can save a ton of money. Because if you're under pressure and you've got a time crunch, the truck
Yeah,
stop 4-inch strap is, I mean, how much are you paying? 30, 40 bucks?
probably, yeah. Like
Yeah. And ours is
they're
on the,
gonna times it by like two at the
yeah,
minimum. You're gonna
but you're
pay the
paying for that premium because you need it
100%.
now.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will do it because it's a good paying gig, but
Hmm.
why not have the good paying gig and the low cost equipment? Because obviously your margins are bigger. But for someone starting up, if their mindset is already such that they know they're going to have pretty tight margins, if not go negative
Hmm.
as they learn, then that's fine. But you don't need to learn by experience that ordering something online before you need it is going to be much cheaper than heading to a truck stop so that you can say yes to one job and then maybe you don't even need it again after that. So, uh, I got a question for you. You're you're in communities talking to many other truckers who have walked kind of where you've already walked,
Hmm.
or are currently walking where you've already walked. How much do you stress the importance of like not getting overwhelmed and scattered and stretched to capacity? Because that's when money starts going up and mistakes start getting made.
I actually, as far as being overwhelmed, everybody that I speak to, I think everybody kind of you that's a good question. And I wasn't ready for it. But just taking your 34-hour reset, the guys that I talk to, we all kind of have a mindset of getting out of the truck, making sure that we're not just being truck drivers, but we're also experiencing the world that we're have fortunate enough to drive in and the states that we're fortunate enough to drive in. So finding food, going to like sports events, basketball, football, baseball, a lot of the guys, will go out, have a drink, in the safest way possible, on
Nice.
a 34-hour reset, or if they're out of the truck for a period of time, just still being the person that you enjoy being, but also adapting it to the lifestyle of truck driving. Going on vacations is another thing, making sure that you include that in your rate per mile and where you're getting paid. As a company driver,
Hmm.
setting aside money so that you can really um, not take advantage, but just understand like the fruits of your labor. Like take advantage of the fruits of your labor. So being able
Well,
to
even
do
if
those types of things,
go ahead.
yeah, being able to do those types of things, you just have to be mindful, because they will put you in a truck and they will make you like just drive you to insanity. No one
Yeah.
cares about like 100% you resting or getting well rested or being safe out there. It's all about the load. So it's up to the driver at all, like 100% of the time. It's up to the driver to say, okay, I have to stop. I have to go do this for my mental health. I have to go just kind of get a break from everything so that I can continue to do this the right way.
Yeah. Well, dude, so even if you're not directly talking about, um, well, I mean, it sounds like you are talking about that in terms of the importance of rest and mental clarity. And I love our customers. You see a lot of older truckers. I mean,
Yeah.
60, 65, and they're here picking up 8-foot drops, and they'll complain about it, obviously, say these things are heavy, but then they're also saying, can you can I get a discount? Can I split this in 2 payments?
Hmm.
They're desperate, and they're to a point where like they don't really have options, and they're working so hard. And so I think the value of your content is particularly high because you're trying to encourage people on the front end to not be working harder, but to
Yeah.
be go ahead. Like it's hard work. It doesn't say don't work hard. It just means work smarter. Make your hard work smart because it's not sustainable, man. It is not sustainable to throw around 120-pound tarps and always be um, under pressure. It's just too much physically, mentally, and so a lot of our customers, we have a lot of compassion for them, but it's certainly a lesson to me. I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to be in a position where I don't have options. My only option is to, as a 65-year-old dude, have to haul a 120-pound tarp and like be away from my family because I need that dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think finding that balance of managing your workflow, uh, but also working hard enough to get the opportunities that can advance you forward, but always just be sober minded. So you're not desperate. To stay away from desperation. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
wisdom in once you're in the place of desperation. And
No,
so, like again, that's why I really love talking with the customers that come up, just to get kind of their headspace. A lot of them are angry, frustrated. A lot of them are totally clueless.
mm-hmm.
Um, but and so it's helpful just to take what I've kind of heard from people coming in off the road and just say, look at people will steal your tarps. There you
Oh,
go.
yeah, I've had my tarp stolen.
Yeah, it just happens. And so learn from that. Don't learn from the experience, because if you go out on a limb and you're like, I gotta get these tarps, but this is my last dollar, but I gotta do what I gotta do because I gotta take this job and this is the only load coming out of so and so and it needs tarps, so I'm gonna buy them. And then you pass out at the truck stop and you wake up, your tarps are gone. Like, golly, can you imagine being in that? Okay, you may not have to imagine. You may have been
Yeah, it's
there, or
unfortunate.
some of your listeners may have been there. But that's why we don't pull any hijinks. We're not here like upselling. I want to be careful with getting into the flatbed accessories because I want to be helpful, but I don't want to be sitting here selling you supersize. Do you want to supersize that order?
Right,
Do
right,
you want
right.
to get a bunch of straps that you don't need? I'm not going to go out to your truck and say, well, all your straps look like garbage. They're about to bust. You should probably upgrade now while you're here. Everyone that I've met is rarely do you find someone who is just trying to spend money because they like it, or they're taking
Never do.
their ego. They get their ego involved. But most people are very practical, and they're trying to get the most done for the least amount of cost without buying cheap crap, because that's just kicking the can down the road and making their life worse. Um, but yeah, a lot of the people that come by here and that we talk to on the phone, they're just, even the people just getting started, they're trying to find that sweet spot of um, budget consciousness and um, versatility, I guess,
Yeah,
if
for
that
sure.
makes sense.
And I'm gonna wrap it up there. I really appreciate you coming to the channel, Jaren. As far as like anything you want to promote, or like as far as where to be found on social media or your website, do you want to give the listeners like any information on how to contact you guys?
Sure. The main thing is carolinatarps.com. That's the website. Everything's on there. We built it a long time ago, but it's quite functional. And just on the left hand side there, you see lumber tarps or steel tarps. And any questions you have, you just give us a call, make that phone ring. And like I said, we like brainstorming with people just to kind of hear what they're going through and give any insight that we've picked up. But yeah, the website, carolinatarps.com. And I appreciate this because we're trying to do more video content because this is where people are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to figure out how to deliver informative, useful, somewhat entertaining value to people. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, just search Carolina Tarps.
Awesome.
And another thing, I know you've got a lot of people getting started looking for the right equipment. Chris Lee listeners, give us a call. We'll chat through whatever you need. And if anyone uses the coupon code CHRIS, CHRIS, we'll do $28 off your order. So if you need, which isn't a whole lot, but we kind of keep our margins kind of as low as they can already go, just to we don't want to inflate, because we know people are budget minded. But yeah, $20 off, coupon code Chris, or just mention it over the phone or something.
Thank you
And
guys.
that way, yeah, just do a little something for your listeners. And thanks again.
All right, guys, it's your boy Chris Lee TV. Thank you, Jason Fair, for coming to the channel from Carolina Tarps. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. Until next time, Deuces.